You may remember a couple of weeks ago when, at the height of the border wars, we had the Western Australian Premier carrying on like this.
New South Wales is saying don't catch public transport in Sydney. They haven't got the borders down within New South Wales. They're restricting the number of people who can go to a restaurant or cafe far more than Western Australia is. Yet they're saying, why can't New South Wales people fly to Western Australia? Their message is totally inconsistent. It is totally inconsistent. We're not going to give in to that sort of bullying by the New South Wales Premier or anyone else.
Yep. You know, the West is for us, the West is best, the East is evil, you know, who cares? But today, we now see the WA government is now whinging about the very thing that is, well, part of the problem here. WA is out there today saying that the federal government should not turn off JobKeeper in September. The warnings from the Treasurer in Western Australia is that the economy is so bad, demand is so poor, particularly for small to medium businesses, that if those payments all end on the same day, then there's going to be an economic calamity in that part of Australia. Here's the Treasurer.
I think that the Commonwealth will need to transition JobKeeper. I don't think a hard end is actually in the Commonwealth's interest, the state's interest or Australia's interest, and hopefully they'll end up coming up with an alternate, perhaps, transition plan out of that as opposed to a hard end. I agree, JobKeeper's not here forever. We can't afford to keep it here forever, but a hard end I don't think is practical.
2 million people live in Western Australia, 23 million people don't. So here's the solution. If you want to make sure that as many businesses as possible are able to survive well and truly before September, here's an idea, Treasurer. Pick up the phone and call your boss. Tell the Premier to bring the borders down, because there are so many small businesses who are completely stuffed. And it doesn't matter what JobKeeper is going to happen in September. If you don't open the borders now to the rest of the country to trade, then these businesses are going to explode. This is the central problem with some of these provincial premiers. They aren't paying the welfare bill. They think that it is up to the federal government to pay the economic welfare bill, when it is their decisions that are making things worse. In small towns, big cities, or the back end of the bush, there's only one way to give businesses a fighting chance, and it's not to promise more welfare. It's to bring down every barrier, including the literal barriers between fellow Australians. Now, we're lucky. We're an island that's been able to isolate itself from the rest of the world. But to turn on each other is counterproductive. It is especially counterproductive when it comes to the very businesses that the Treasurer is now trying to bleat about. And by the way, when it comes to economic activity, as social restrictions start to ease, and the social restrictions that the Premier of WA was bitching about are now well and truly changing in New South Wales. From Monday, you'll be able to have groups of people in all different parts of a pub or a club. You'll be able to have all different types of people inside a restaurant if it's got lots of different rooms. You'll be able to drive around the state. There'll basically be very limited restrictions compared to what's happening in Western Australia. And the Bureau of Statistics released this today, which is, as slowly but surely we've moved from 0 people allowed to 10 to 20, no movement around a state to more movement around a state, 35% of businesses are starting to say that they are getting returned customer demand. This is what happens, Treasurer. When you bring down the borders, when you change the rules, when you let people get about their normal life, people get an increase in cash flow. They get additional funds. It is up to you. You have the power to unleash this demand to the people of Western Australia. The same goes for South Australia, Queensland, Tasmania. I give the Northern Territory a free pass because of the remote Indigenous communities, but largely they are back to normal, except for crack at night.